Leadership behavior theory. Here we have a number of theories to look at. As you can see on the screen, we have Kurt Lewin. You might have heard of Kurt Lewin. His 3 styles of leadership, he bucketized these as either democratic, autocratic, or laissez-faire. Ralph Stogdill from Ohio State, he would view leaders as being either those with an initiating structure, biased towards an initiating structure, or consideration. What did he mean by initiating structure? Task and job related. Consideration, more consideration for employees. Taking a look at the next one, we have Likert from Michigan Survey Research Center, and he viewed leaders as being either job-centered or employee-centered, similar to Stogdill. Blake and Mouton, they would view leaders as falling into a number of categories. There are quite a number of them. I show 4 of them on the screen here. Country club leaders, sweatshop leaders, fully functional leaders, and impoverished leaders. I will take a look at these in a bit more detail. Kurt Lewin's perspective, as you can see, is pretty straightforward. Democratic gets everyone involved, autocratic, my way or the highway type leader, and laissez-faire leaves you to do your own thing, make out your own way. But let's take a look at Stogdill, Likert, and Blake and Mouton in more detail. Ohio State University Studies, Hemphill and Coons, 1957, and Stogdill, 1963. Stogdill looked at 2 kinds of leadership behaviors: initiating structure, task behaviors, and consideration, relationship behaviors. Now, these were conceived of as 2 distinct and independent behaviors. You were either task-driven or you were people-driven. Let's take a look at the next behavior theory. University of Michigan, Likert, 2 types of leadership behavior: employee orientation, relationship behaviors, or production orientation, task behaviors. Now, in this case, these were conceived of as opposite ends of one continuum and later reconceived as 2 independent orientations. What do you think? Do you think people are one or the other? Do you think they're either employee-driven or task-driven? Or do you think there's a blend and a slant towards one side of the spectrum? What do you think? Let's take a look at Blake and Mouton, a rather interesting model here. It's broken down by concern for production and concern for people. They came out with a grid that looked at leaders as being either having much concern for people or not very much concern for people, or much concern for production or not that much concern for production. And as a result of these, they came up with a rather colorful representation of leaders. So let's take a look at that. Country club management, low concern for task accomplishment with a high concern for interpersonal relationships. Authority compliance, also known as a sweatshop manager, places heavy emphasis on task and job requirements and less emphasis on people. Team management, strong emphasis, as you can see, on both people and production. High degree of participation and teamwork satisfies needs of followers to be involved and committed to work. And last but not least, we have the impoverished leader, impoverished management. No concern for people, no concern for production. Now, in addition to this, we have one more right here in the middle. As you can see, the middle of the road management. And middle of the road management are compromises. They don't want to rock the boat. They just want to be status quo. Don't rock the boat. Just stay right there in the middle. That was another category that they came up with. So as you can see here, these categories, authority compliance, which is more like the sweatshop, browbeating people, heavy emphasis on task and job requirements. The country club manager is all the way on the other end of the spectrum. And as you can see, the other categories are impoverished management, middle of the road management, team management, but we also have two additional characteristics that were added of these leaders. As time went on, the following were added to the mix: paternalism and maternalism, a leader who uses both the 1-9 and the 9-1 styles but does not integrate them, known as the benevolent dictator. And opportunism uses any combination of the basic 5 styles for the purpose of personal advancement. So my question is, what can you make of all of this? From Blake and Mouton's grid, you can see that the best place to be is having a balance of concern for both production and people. They should not be neglected. You cannot be a country club manager and forget all about production, because that would hurt the company. So leaders understand that there should be a balance of people and production. And leaders know that without the people, they can do nothing. Anna Wintour says, "You are nothing without the team." And I absolutely agree. Without the team, where would we be? Remember, part of our values is to grow together. So we understand that leadership is all about a people business. We are in the business of upholding our values, and at the same time upholding people's right to grow and people's right to get along in the same organization. Let's move on to our next section.